right? Very important to know what your customer doesn't want, because you want to eliminate those things from searches you know your customer isn't interested in, right? Just waste a lot of time.
Question.
Yes?
If you eliminate Frederick as a city, does that eliminate all the zip codes? Like Urbana is a Frederick zip code.
No, it's by the city, whatever the city is noted as.
The city limits?
City limit, yep, however,
City limit's not extended?
according to the listing.
Okay.
So if the listings are Urbana and you get rid of Frederick, you should be okay.
No, Urbana is.
Your Urbana is part of it?
Yeah, Urbana's in Frederick County, Clark.
I'm not eliminating a county, I'm eliminating the city.
No. City of Frederick.
Urbana's not in the city of
So it
Frederick.
recognizes city limits?
Yes, it recognizes city limits. If you're not sure, you can always eliminate it by zip code, and that's what I'm going to show you also. It's another guess.
What if you want to use that technique to not pay city taxes? Is that one way to
There's
do
the
it?
thing we're looking for.
Right now, is it in here? In city limits. This is a new field. Okay, this is now a mandatory field when you put your listings in. Is it within city limits? You're not sure, you check the tax record. Okay? So that's how you can determine that.
Okay, thank you.
That's cool.
That's a new one.
No.
That saves a lot.
So let's slap in a zip code. All right, let's see if we have any power users in here. What if your customer said, they don't want to live in 21703? Does anybody know how to tell the system not to search that zip code? Exclamation point.
Cool.
So if I put exclamation point 21703, it'll search all the zip codes except for that. If I want to eliminate more than one zip code, exclamation point zip code, comma, exclamation point zip code, comma, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
So exclamation zip code
Comma.
deletes that from your search.
That is correct. Deletes that from your search.
That's
Now,
pretty cool.
if, let's say you wanted to eliminate all the zip codes that started with 217, right? So how do you think we're going to do that? Bingo. 217 asterisk. It'll eliminate all the zip codes that start with that. Okay. The other thing you have to remember is you can only go one way on that line. You're either going to tell it what zips to search for or what not to search for. You can't go both ways on that line.
All right, say that again. Which one, all of them include is asterisk?
I'm saying, yeah, this is the way I have it up now. It would eliminate all zip codes that start with 217.
And does it have an exclamation point in front of there? I can't see it.
Yes,
Yes.
always an exclamation point.
Oh, exclamation.
It goes in the front.
Goes
not
in the
back.
front. Put it in the front.
And does that exclamation only work in zip code field?
No. So, in fact, let's go down here to address. Customer said, I know I don't want to live on this street. Exclamation point, street name. And remember, do not put the type of street, no avenue, boulevard, highway. You'll get nothing. That goes in the field next to it. Okay? In the off chance your customer had two streets that they didn't want to live on, can't use a comma here. You can only do one street on this line. See this little orange more button? Now you have another one. So you would have to eliminate one here and one here. Okay, make sense? Cool. Price works the same way it always has, right? If you have this box checked, you do not put in the last three zeros, right? So I could go, that would give you a home's price at $400,000, exactly. You're not going to do that. You could use your 400 plus, 400 minus. You can actually use the greater than, less than keys, which I can't do because I have to go find my daughter's old third grade math book because I still can't figure it out at this old age. And don't tell me there's an alligator and his mouth is open. That doesn't mean anything to me. So we're going to put in a range. Whoop, 400 to 500,000. Okay, cool? So now, let's talk about statuses because that's always fun. All right, let's start right from the top. Do you all know what active means?
For sale.
Good, okay, you saved me like 45 minutes. All right, next, active under contract. There's a contract on the property, the seller still wishes to show the home. If you have it active under contract, you must show the home days on market continues to accrue. Pending, second one from the bottom, which is what you used to know as contract. It is now pending. The only difference between pending and active under contract is still showing the home. Okay? Here's the rub. Either one of these can have contingencies. That's where people get a little confused. Okay, it's just a matter of whether you're showing the house or not. If you want to be able to search by contingencies, what I suggest you do is come down here to the bottom. You all know how to add fields to your search using add remove, right? Bring this one in, contingency type. So now you can search by your contingencies. Okay, make sense?
So this goes back to my question about default. What if I want all my criteria and results to end up with square footage of the house? How do I set that so that every search I do, I have square footage come up?
On the results.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to get there.
Okay.
As soon as we get through this page.
You're,
At this rate, we may not, but we'll
I
try.
want you to pass by.
We'll try.
Really important.
We may be calling out for dinner, but I'm here all day. I don't have to be at Owens Mills till 2 o'clock. Okay. So the next one is canceled. Canceled means that the listing agreement has been canceled prior to its expiration. The agent finally says to the homeowner, "You're an idiot. I'm never going to sell your house. I want out." The homeowner says, "Thank God, because I'm about to tell you I didn't want you stepping foot on my property anymore." They sign off on it. There's no more relationship. Okay? Then we have closed, which you all know used to be called sold. I had someone yell at me for 20 minutes and we changed it from closed to sold. Don't ask me why. Coming soon. You all know about coming soon, right? You have 21 days is the max. So I could set up a coming soon 10 days. On day 9 I can extend it, right? But once I get to 21 days, that's it. And when you set up your listing, you tell the system what date it's going live. And when it hits that date, it automatically goes to active. Okay? If you get to the point where for some reason you still can't show the house, move it to temp off. Okay? Temp off is a little different. As we stand here today at this moment, there is no time limit to temp off. It used to be 21 days in the old system. The reason I say at this moment is that they're discussing putting it back to 21 days, so I don't know yet. But you can keep it there as long as you want. Days on market does not accrue during the temp off period. It picks up. So if I had it on for 10 days and then I go temp off, when I come off temp off, 11 days. Okay? Coming soon, you may not show the property, right? When you have as a coming soon property. Everybody says, how do you stop us? Whenever a listing goes into coming soon, you may not know this, we put an employee in the driveway. No. We do spot checks, our compliance department has different ways. But one thing you may want to tell your prospective buyers is that if they want to know all of the listings that are coming up in the next 21 days, the only place they can get that from is you. Because coming soon does not syndicate out. Now your customer will tell you, I go to Zillow and I see coming soons. Yes, but those are directly entered by the brokerage or the agent that has a direct feed. Okay? Does not appear on the Bright feed. So if you want all the Bright listings that are coming soon, you tell them that the only place they can get it for you, you set them up with an auto email, you include coming soon as a status, and they will get them. Okay? Yes?
Quick question on that
Sure.
auto email.
Uh-huh.
If you don't do auto email, but you just send them a listing, they have no access to the portal, is that correct?
If you send a manual listing?
If you just send them one listing by email, they
Yes.
don't get access to
Yes,
the
it
portal?
opens the portal.
Okay, they just couldn't find it.
Yeah, opens the portal. Opens the portal for them. All right, so expired, we all know what that means, right? Listing agreement is expired. And then the big one on the bottom, withdrawn. That is the one that has changed the most. Okay? Withdrawn now means that the listing agreement is, that the listing is no longer on the MLS, but the listing agreement is still in effect. That's a big difference the way it used to be. So they had a falling out, this is the scenario. They're not going to work together anymore, but the agent says, tough, I am holding you to the terms of our listing agreement. So that sucker will sit in there and withdrawn until it hits expiration date of your listing agreement, then the system automatically moves it to expire. Okay? So what does that mean? It means that you can go after the cancels, you can go after the expireds, you can no longer solicit withdrawals. There is still a listing agreement. So if an agent goes in and solicits somebody under withdrawn and the homeowner doesn't know any better, you could be sitting with 2 listing agreements. Okay, so just remember that. And days on market has to be off of the market for 61 days to reset to 0. It does not start the clock if you are in withdrawn.
Can you say that again?
I don't think I can. I'm only good for that like once a day. Okay?
Withdrawn.
Withdrawn. So you know it has to be, listing has to be off of the market for 61 days for the DOM to reset to 0.
Right.
Okay? If it's in withdrawn, the clock does not start. So if you're in withdrawn, you're not starting that 60-day period.
So days
Only
on
when it
market
go-
continue to accumulate, is
What?
you're saying. Days on market continue to.
Yeah, but
accumulate.
I'm talking about the 60-day reset for days on market. It has to be off of the market for 60 days. So if it's expired for 60 days, it resets, right? If it's canceled for 60 days, it resets. Closed, they reset automatically because it's a closed transaction, okay? Now what happened was, and I don't want to get more complicated, but a few months back, we told you guys that the clock did start with withdrawn, okay, and it doesn't. So what we've done is, if you have a withdrawn that you had since October, okay, and you let it go 60 days from that withdrawn, and then you enter a new listing, you have to enter a new listing, it will reset. But that's only until April 30th to make up for the bad information we gave you. So that wasn't too confusing. So just remember, April 30th, withdrawn does not start the 60-day clock.
But you're saying that withdrawn means that there's still a listing agreement in place,
There's still a listing agreement in place.
and canceled does not.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
That's confusing.
That's
I'm sorry, but to me that's really confusing.
Just remember, don't go after the withdrawns. It's just a situation withdrawn where the agent is holding the seller to the terms of their agreement. If they're not going to hold them to the terms of the agreement, they're going to sign off on it and move it to cancel. Now there's no more relationship.
I have a question.
Sure.
If a listing is in December and they just want to take it off the market until spring,
Mm-hmm.
the listing agreement is still in effect.
Mm-hmm.
If you change temporarily off market to 21 days or less, how do you
Not 20,
classify it?
not 21 days. Well, right now there's no limit to temp off. 21 days is coming soon.
But wouldn't you move it
That's
to
what it used to
withdrawn
be.
at that point and then relist it, or no?
So you have, here's the deal, this happens. So you put it on in the fall, you want to take it off during the winter, right? So you can put it on temp off and let it sit there. What happens is when you put it back in the spring, the days on market picks up.
Right.
So a lot of the agents say, don't want that, want it back to 0, right? So the only choice you have there is to cancel the listing or let that listing agreement expire. So you have a choice if you're doing that. The choice is to let days on market continue or the possibility of losing that listing because you've lost control. Now they're going to get solicited by other agents because now it's expired or it's canceled. You don't have control over that listing. So it's a tough choice to make. I understand that. We had a big discussion about this about 2 weeks ago. I don't know if they're going to try to do something to fix it, but that's the choice you have. Get rid of your days on market or lose that control over having that agreement.
Because it seems like it would be nice for that to be like 120 days, because that would get you through the winter, something like that.
Have what, 100?
Exactly.
Have what is
The
100?
temporarily off
Temporary
market.
off market. I would put it in withdrawn so that the days start over, but then if you could have, let's say it comes off in November, that would get you through the bulk of the winter, but you're still under a listing agreement. So it's not 60 days, but it's like 120 for withdrawal.
Or at
Does
least
that make sense?
90.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I
Maybe
don't know
they'll
if that's going to
consider-
change. So just be aware that, as I said, the rules may change because we're talking about it because we know it's an issue. Lose control or lose the days on market. That's really your choice right now.
What do you need to get seller signature for as far as changing status? You have to have seller agreement for a withdrawn?
I would think so. You would have to talk to your broker.
But
I don't know the answer to that.
status indicated almost like a holding hostage under duress, and you're not gonna get a seller to sign for that.
No, they don't have to
If you
sign
have-
for withdrawal.
They
I
don't
think.
have to. If you have a listing agreement in place and it expires X date and you know, whatever your termination clause is in there is what would apply. So,
Right, but you can't, you have to have that would need to remain
I'm just gonna tell
active.
you, for all of your guys' listings, you're gonna put canceled. And if you have a situation where you're still holding a seller hostage, you need to talk to me and we need to figure that out.
Well, I know none of you have ever had a.
Well, that took care of that, didn't it? That was good, I like that. All right, so, next, to put in your dates, so if I select close, the system's gonna set it to 180 days out. I do it this way, because I'm old. 180 plus, right, does the same thing. Tells the system to go back 180 days, come forward to today, 6 months, if you do like you're doing a comp search. You can also put a date in there, 9/1/2019 plus, if you want, or you can come in here to the calendar, and you can set a date range if you want.
Oh, that's cool.
Do it like that, okay? Let's get rid of that. Alrighty, so those are the statuses. Any more questions? No, good, okay.
One question.
Yes,
Can we get a check-all instead of having to go all the way down for CMA? So that all the statuses are checked?
you run your CMAs with all your statuses checked?
Some, oftentimes.
Okay, no. That was easy.
I think if you don't check any,
If you don't check any, if you don't check any, it
You get them
includes
all?
them all. Yep.
Oh, okay.
So what you can do is, in your case, you can just come in here and make sure that they're all blank, set it as your default, and then they'll always be blank for you.
Isn't that gonna give you closed from
It will, it'll give you a close for,
all the
it'll
way
give
back to
you,
the
that's
start
correct.
time?
Yeah.
So you have to make sure you set your dates, because if you don't, it'll give you everything, especially on the close, right? You get every listing that met that criteria.
But if you put the date in, doesn't it
If you put
automatically
the-
check it?
Right, if you put the date in. If you have a date in here, then it'll just run it by those. Absolutely. All right, so there are your
One
beautiful.
more.
Yes, please.
if I'm not mistaken, back in the old system, house went into contingent, days on market stopped, if I'm not mistaken. So what went into the decision-making process that when we put a home now in active under contract, which essentially replaced contingent,
Mhm.
now all of a sudden, days on market continue to accrue? I don't
Because you're still marketing the home. You're letting people still come in and view it. That's the reason why.
Because you can still
So-
show it under the contract.
I understand that completely, but this was active under contract, was basically proposed that it was the new contingent status. So I know at least myself.
But that's what I'm telling you, it's not, because you can have contingencies under pending also. That's what people get confused. Whether it's active under contract or pending has nothing to do with contingencies, it just has to do whether you're still showing the home. That's the difference.
If you're looking for backups,
Yep.
you do active.
Yes, sir.
So, active under contract does not show the buyer agent information, but pending does. And sometimes we don't want the buyer agent information out there because people call.
That's right, and that's something else that they're also talking about. Because at one time we put it on, we took it off. Because if you put the buyer agent on there and then the contract falls through, every other agent calls up and wants to know what happened.
Right.
So people had a fit, so we took it off. That was that's the way that
So why is it
developed.
still under the pending?
Yep, they still have it under pending, because they're not showing, and I don't know. They're actually looking on putting it to both of them now.
Okay.
Good, let me write that down, so I put it in my report. 2 quarts of milk and a loaf of bread.
Can't write listings in.
Well, I think one of the reasons too that they changed it, because we as the broker, we love you guys, but sometimes you wouldn't be turning in your contracts. And so we didn't know a lot of times if you guys had something under contract. When it goes pending now, Lisa gets a report that says, hey, your agent has something under contract, do you have that
Right.
contract in your office? Whereas if it's active and that information isn't in the system, we still don't know that you guys have something under contract out there unless you've turned it in, which hopefully you have, but sometimes you don't. So I
Makes
think that
sense.
may be part of the reason why they did that, so that for broker supervision purposes.
Perfect. All right, let's move on. That's good. Please.
For the active under contract, that includes obviously if there's a kick-out clause, but it could be other items too, right?
Yep.
So you would have to search under, when you did your search, you can run the, and I can't see the screen very well, but it has the contingencies listed.
Yep, exactly. Search by your contingencies. All right, bedrooms work the same way. I will remind you, just because I see this all the time, somebody's doing a CMA in a 3-bedroom house and they put 3 under bedrooms. You have to use the plus, right? The best comp you have could be the house next door. It's got 4 bedrooms, big deal. If you don't put the plus in, you'll never see it. So give yourself a little latitude there, right? If your customer has a requirement for a specific room, and yes, it's dependent on what the agent puts into the listing, okay? So you can select any rooms that you need. The ones that I always see that are big are den. Everybody likes to search for homes with dens. And the other one that's becoming more and more useful and important, in-law suites. There's your in-law suite right there. Okay. By the way, you guys know the difference between an in-law and an outlaw? An outlaw is wanted. Next show at 11, try the veal. Okay. If your customer has a requirement for main level bedrooms or main level full baths, search for it right here, separate search. If they have a requirement for a specific room on a specific level, pick the room, pick the level. Okay? If you wanted to do more than one, you could. But I think you'd be pretty darn lucky to get a hit like that, right? You're getting really down into the weeds. Do you have a question? Sure.
I do. If you're searching for a finished basement, is there a way to do it besides saying how big you want the square footage of the finished portion of the basement to be?
Don't think you can.
I don't think you can either.
I don't think you can.
So you have to specify like 100 square feet plus in order to find a finished basement.
We can look that up later, okay? I'll look it up for you if we have a little time. All right, let's keep moving on here. Ownership interest. All right, so there you go. Condo, co-op, fee simple, fractional, ground rent, land lease, timeshare, and the always popular other. Under exterior, I'm going to make this detached, but let me point this out to you. Row or townhouse, end of row townhouse. Split it. Whenever you search for a townhouse, select both of them. Because we don't know what the agent on the other side is doing. You want to make sure you have everything that you can. I would always select both, especially now when that's kind of new, and the agent may not realize that. So you're looking for that, always select both of them.
Didn't it used to be 2 fields? It was townhouse, and then it was what you selected, whether it was interior and...
Right.
I don't think so.
Yes. That's what we used to,
Yes, it was. Back, not in Bright, but back in when we had that.
Levels. That includes the basement. Yes, sir.
Ah,
Can we get more levels than 3+, please?
Yeah, I think you can go to 5 now, and they're talking about adding them on.
Okay, so they're gonna get rid of the 3+?
Yeah, they're gonna add them on, and also when you add the rooms in, when you put the listing in, there's a certain number of, I think it's 4 or 5 levels. They're talking about adding them, because we've heard a lot about that, and they'll hear about it again. Okay. Style. Once again, if you know what your customer doesn't want, don't want to live in a bungalow, don't want to live in a cape, not. Selects all of them except those, right? Now, I used to be an appraiser, and I'm sure you guys all know too, that if an agent isn't sure, it's a colonial, right? That's the way it works. I saw a brick as I drove in the mountain, it's a colonial, okay? If you click on this little question mark here, next to the style box, here's all the styles with pictures.
cool.
And I have a feeling this is the last time you will ever see this, so please take a good look at it now, okay? Here's all the styles of homes. My favorite, the straight through. I always used to know it as a shotgun house when I was an appraiser. You know what that means? You shoot your shotgun at the front door, goes right out the back door. If your spouse is in the living room at the time, you go right to your computer and you type in match.com. Don't do it on purpose. All right, so you've seen that. Last time you'll see that. Under parking, alley, attached and detached garage and carports, driveway parking, no parking, off-site, off-street, parking lot, other. So you have all these different iterations depending upon what your customer needs. Yes, no, basement, fireplace, heating, central air. This is also new because we had it just as a yes, no, condo, or co-op. Now you can have it either or both. Before you didn't have a choice. So now you can say, I just want this, I want one or the other, or give me both. So that's a little bit of a change. Here's your sale type, condition, acreage, year built, new construction. Pool is a mandatory field now in Ed Edit. Right, private pool, community pool, no pool, waterfront, in city limits we spoke about, senior community, and age requirement. So there is your criteria page. Any questions there before we move on here? All right, let's go.
Nice additions.
Here we go. So here is the Agent 1 line. You will notice, I'm sure you all know that we changed the MLS numbers. I don't see any of the old ones in here now, right? So now you get a state code, a county code, and 6 digits. We came over to Bright, remember they were all numerical, and everybody had a fit. Because one of the issues was there's Montgomery in both Maryland and Pennsylvania, there's Kent in both Maryland and Pennsylvania. So to make everybody happy, state code, county code. The ones that went in as all numerical, they just stay that way until they disappear into the sunset. We're not changing MLS numbers. That's for sure. All right, so let's slide over here now. I gotta tell you, I thought this was pretty funny because one day I had a millennial agent in here and she said to me, hey Neal, are you gonna tell us what all those emojis mean? I don't know, it just cracked me up. It just made me feel like I was 150 years old. To me, they're icons, okay? So, right here, arrow down means?
Lower the price.
Price decrease. Red arrow up, price increase. Teaching a class once, this lady went, this is great. I automatically know, just from looking at this one page, that all of these homes have washing machines. Of course, I said, well, that's nice, lady, but this is a camera, okay? So this is your photos. This is your map. I don't see any documents in this run here. Here's your documents. This is your virtual tours. This is the listing history. This is called the LPR, the Listing Performance Report. And what this does is, we don't have really time to do this today to get to everything, but what it does is, it compares how your listing is doing in comparison to similar listings.
Wow.
How many showings am I getting before contract compared to other people? How many auto emails are going out on my property compared to similar listings? Things like that. So it gives you a good indication of how your listing is doing, and you can actually show it to your customer. Look, these guys are going under contract at an average of 5 appointments. You're at 25 already, you know? Could be an indication the price is a little bit high, maybe something you could use to convince them to do a price reduction. Or maybe it could be an impetus to tell them to get rid of the paisley carpet, you know, whatever it is. So it could be an indication of how you're doing against similar listings. This is the tax record, and by the way, you know, if you put your mouse on any of the icons, it just tells you what it is underneath, right? Or excuse me, any of the emojis. This is the tax map, the plat map. This deep links you right into the SDAT tax record. Okay, it takes you straight to it.
Oh, that's nice.
Community, school information, community information, your buyer and seller net sheets. This is rate plug. You know what rate plug is? Mm-hmm. Is that a yes or a no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. This is zip forms. Okay, you guys use zip forms?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So you can come in here, sign up. It's called Zip Plus Connect. And you can draw down your forms from it, and it will auto-populate for the listing.
Cool.
Okay, so go check that out. I don't have access to it, so I can't show it to you. But you may want to check that out.
Check the names on them though, because I got a contract yesterday and they did that and the seller's name was completely wrong. So, just FYI.
Can I have your ID number? Because try logging in after about 3:30.
Okay.
No. Okay.
Does that come with our normal subscription?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because zip forms is now an NAR benefit.
So why aren't they all zip connected?
That's a good question here. I don't know the answer to that. Some of them have it, some of them don't.
Maybe you put it in when you click on
No,
the
Dom.
information.
No, it shouldn't have to do with docs. Where's this one? I don't have it here.
Been a little bit.
Because of that.
Can we send you questions?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
So Neal, is there a way that I can add the field so I can see the agent's name?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do now.
Okay.
All right, let's move on here, because I know we're running out of time, and you guys are gonna get hangry in a minute. So,
Already.
let's just briefly go through some of this. Here's your Agent 1 line, right? This is the thumbnail.
Oh.
And by the way, don't get excited. See this icon right here? Does not take you to the Target online shopping site. This is report a violation. So if you know there's something wrong with the listing, you let us know about it. We go back to the offending agent, we make them fix it. If we have to fine them, we will. And then we let them know who the rat was. No. They will never know. I promise you that. I get calls all the time. I sent in a violation, I never heard back. That's correct. Thank you for the information. You just helped all your colleagues in the system. Now we'll take care of that person. Okay. Back by popular demand, we brought the gallery back, because that's the one that everybody complained about, quite frankly. So now you have all of the showing contacts, the agent remarks, and the directions right in here with you. I don't know if you've seen this one, but this is my favorite, the Agent 360 Property Report. Does anybody use this?
Yep.
So when you bring this up, you get the listing, the tax record, the tax history, the sale and mortgage history, the flood report, the listing history, and maps, all in one shot. The maps give you a map, the lot dimensions, and the flood map also. Okay? So what's really nice about this is if I wanted to print this stuff out, and I click on the print button, when you come in for the first time, they will all be selected. I can hit the print button one time, print out all those pages. Okay? I suspect what you guys will be doing a lot will be just the tax record and the listing. So I can do that. Then the next time I come in, those will be the only two selected. It sets it as default. So now you don't have to bring up the tax, the listing, print the listing, go access the tax record, print it, one shot. If you want it any easier than that, I would have to drive to your house and click the print button for you. No page, I'm not driving to Martinsburg.
I know.
Okay. So that's really easy. So now let's talk about what's called custom displays. This is one of my favorite features. Okay. So we get to the one-line display. You can give a rat's patootie about the list office name. Okay. So if I take my mouse and I don't put it on the name, because that sorts, if I put it next to it and I get those 4 arrows that stick out, left click one time. Okay, how is that? And then you just click on remove column. And don't ask me if you can keep it or save it, because the answer is yes, and I will get to it, I promise, before somebody asks that. So if I click on remove column, it removes the column. If I don't like the order of the columns, latch onto it, hold down your left mouse button, drag it and drop it where you want it. Boy, it's being slow, isn't it? This is probably due to your internet service.